to Thursday for December 4th. My name is Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with Weights and Biases. Welcome, welcome. This is the first show of December. The winter's here. And with me, I have Wolf from Raven Wolf, all the way from Germany. Wolfram, do you have snow?
Snow, we had some, but not now.
Beautiful snowy landscape here all over Colorado, finally snowed, and it's December, believe it or not. I will also welcome Nistan to the show. What's up, Nistan?
We're going to replace ourselves with just do avatars for New Year's because it's coming, right? It's inevitable.
Yeah.
It's going to look a lot better than us eventually, so.
Yeah, and AI will be the ones watching it.
Yeah, then the bots will watch it.
Well, for now, it seems, maybe I'm wrong, but at least for now, it seems that who's watching us right now, who's tuning in right now on the live show, is all great people. Yes, we have Yam joining us as well. Welcome, Yam Peleg. How are you doing, sir?
Great. How are you guys?
I'm assuming no snow for you.
No snow for me. No.
That's a fair assumption. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it was a busy week. For now, how about we start ourselves with what has been the top AI release for you this week?
Okay, it's easy for me because Europe. Nice to see Mistral back in the game and Apache license. So base models available, multimodal. Yeah, we will talk about it later. But thumbs up. Great that they are back.
So Mistral 3.
Yeah.
Yes. How about Yam? You go first. What is the top AI that stands out to you for this week? Top AI release from this week?
I would like to point out something from last week. Opus, after a week of use, man. Oh,
you know
I got a lot to say.
You know what? I will join you. Opus blew my mind this week. Absolutely. Cloud Opus 4.5 was released, a day before our live stream last time, or on actual day. And then we didn't actually have time to play with it, but we did since. And you know that meme with the Indian dude that like crossed out his friend with the green check mark, and it's like, that one is my new best friend. So this is me now with Gemini, even though I'm wearing this beautiful swag from the Gemini team, folks. Thank you so much to the DeepMind team for the swag. Even though Opus was fixing my Gemini 3 bugs this week, and I was like, wow. So yes, we will consider this. Yam, this is your entry is accepted. Nissan, how about you?
Mine is strange. It's the AWQ quantization Cyan Kiwi on Hugging Face of the Prime Intellect 3 model. This one, I think it's like the fastest and most intelligent thing that you can run on one GPU. For me, this is like the best, most practical tool right now. I can just like fire up on any machine you can find for like less than $1 often.
Listen, we can always rely on you to bring something out of the left field completely. I haven't even heard about this.
And sorry, you can just plug it into Cloud Code and like it'll just keep going. Which is anyway. So it's pretty interesting for at home stuff.
From the comment section from Milos, we have DeepSeek Special, which DeepSeek was released. Yeah, we're going to chat about this as well. Alrighty. So mine was also Opus. But if I would to focus on the releases of this week, I would just say I think the biggest deal was probably DeepSeek. The one that made more headlines is probably Mistral and the most debate. So we're going to chat about this. Yep. All right, folks, I think it's time for us to start, and we'll run with the TLDR. This is the section on Thursday where we talk to you about everything that happened in the world of AI for this week briefly so that you'd stay up to date super quick. And then we will go and dive into the topics that are most interesting for most of us. I think we'll start with the open source stuff. And I think DeepSeek V3.2 was already released before as an experimental model, and this time DeepSeek released with DeepSeek V3.2 and also V3.2 Special, or I don't know how to pronounce this. Wolfram, any ideas how to pronounce Special?
I think it's Italian. Speciale.
They're open reasoning first models rivaling GPT-5 and Gemini 3 Pro with gold medal Olympic wins. 685 billion parameters, MOEs with MIT license. We will dive deep into what DeepSeek is, but it's now the second most intelligent open weights model and ranks ahead of Claude 4 and Claude Sonnet 4.5, at least for some stats. Very, very impressive. Not to kind of fall behind them as well. Mistral, of the French AI companies, probably the top one in Europe, I would say. Wolfram will correct me. Released Mistral
Definitely,
3.
yeah.
We have covered Mistral on the show ad nauseum. Every release, we pretty much like follow up with them. 2 releases this week. Mistral Large. It's a 670 billion parameter MOE, so bigger than DeepSeek, right? But no, almost the same size. 685 on DeepSeek, 675 on Mistral, with only 41 billion parameter active. 250,000 context window. There has been some debate about how well this model does. It's not a reasoning model; it's an instruction model. And then they also released Mistral, which is their version of the minis. Mistral 3B, 8B, and 14B. They are multimodal for the first time, I think, for Mistral, and then they're doing pretty well to run on phones, etc. The 3D runs in the browser with WebGPU and Transformers.js, which is super, super cool. And we'll cover Mistral at length.
Those are their reasoning models. So these, it's a small but thinking models. And they had multimodality before, but it's now standard across all of the sizes.
Yep. Then we have another release, this time completely from the US. We have Trinity from RCAI, ARCEEAI, and Lucas from RC is a friend of the pod. Generally, RC are friends of the pod. They will join us. Lucas will join us later in the show. So stay around with us because last week we talked about Western Labs only fine-tuning models, and here is a full trained, full weights released US model, American infrastructure, Apache 2 license. We'd love to see this, and we'd love to chat with Lucas Atkins about this live on the stage. And then we also have our friends from News Research release an update to Hermes 4.3. This is a fine-tune of Seed OSS. They've trained this with decentralized Psyche run on the Psyche network. Okay, let me continue to the big labs, and this has been a very interesting week. So tons of researchers and developers have left to 2 conferences. There's the reInvent in Las Vegas and the Newer IPS conference in San Diego, California. If you are there, by the way, in Newer IPS and you're tuning in, please welcome to visit the Weights and Biases booth while you're there. And apparently the talk of the town in Newer IPS is fine-tuned plus RL models like Cognition and like Windsurf did, but also ChatGPT's Code Red. So this week was ChatGPT's 3rd birthday. So ta-da, celebration. Where's my applause? Celebration to, let's see if I can do this here. No, I turned off reaction. ChatGPT's 3rd birthday, can you believe it? We're going to chat about this. And also on the 3rd birthday, apparently Sam Altman announced a code red within OpenAI as a response to Gemini and the fact that, they've been growing crazy, but it does not look like they're going to hit that billion weekly active users. So it's still on 700, 800 or so. Apparently 6% daily active drop post Gemini 3 launch. So this was a breaking news from the information. And some Altman declared code red and something about garlic. We're going to chat about this as well. And then also in big labs, Amazon came back with Nova 2 with an enterprise push model, Nova 2 Lite and Nova 2 Pro and Nova 2 Sonic, which is a speech-to-speech model, and even an Omni model, unified text, image, and video and speech model with 1 million context window. That's pretty great. Besides this, on the big companies and APIs, let me see if I'm covering everything because I'm showing you the infographic.
Anthropic purchased BAM, which is very interesting.
And there has been a few purchases. Anthropic purchased BAN. OpenAI purchased our competitor Neptune. So and then Neptune is shutting off. So if you use Neptune, please, reach out to me. I'll show you exactly how to port out your experiences to a company that will not stop serving you once a big company buys them. But yes, there's been a few big company purchases in the area. Bun is a very specific one for the folks who are not front-end developers. Bun is a JavaScript runtime. And Anthropic buying them is very interesting. Alrighty, back to the TLDR super quick. This week has been absolutely mind-blowing for video generations. We finally know what Whisper Thunder is. Whisper Thunder was Runway's Gen 4.5, which I wasn't able to play with, but supposedly was released. We told you Whisper Thunder is this code name of a video model that supposedly is better than VO3 and beats it on the ELO scores on artificial analysis. And beats Sora 2 Pro and Kling with superior physics and multi-step prompts, etc. But it doesn't have native audio yet. And then Kling is on a roll this week, folks. They are releasing a new release every week, including one today. So there's been 4 overall, but Kling Video 2.6 is the main one. It's a native audio generation in a video generation. So I think the first one out of the Chinese labs. It's not open source, but it is 1080p up to 10 seconds with native audio and synced lips and multi-character dialogue. It's pretty cool, and it's cheaper than the previous Kling. ByteDance also followed up and released a update to their Seedream image generation with multi-references and multilingual text. And then on the image side, this one is very interesting. I think this is a US-based lab. If you guys remember last week, ByteDance Image Turbo, but while we're waiting for the edit, a company called Pruna came out with P-Image, which is better and faster and cheaper as well. Generation under 1 second and edits under 1 second as well, and it's like super cheap. It's like 4 cents, less than 4 cents, 0.4 cents. So I'll show you P-Image super quick, and then Kling also released another one. This week's guest on the show is Lucas Atkins, CTO of RC, and we're going to talk about why US trained MOE matters and Trinity architecture and making inference cheap as well. And I think that this is pretty much it. Besides, I haven't chatted about the weights and biases stuff. I will tell you about the weights and biases stuff. So on the this week's buzz, this week we have released a LLM evaluation service that you can just point to any OpenAI compatible API and we'll run the evals for you, which is super cool. Alrighty, folks, I think that this is it. Wolfram, anything big I missed?
Microsoft released a new, very small actually, not big, version of their Vibe, what's the name?
Vibe Voice.
Vibe Voice, that's the name.
Voice
real time this time. So the special thing is that it can be used when streaming and it can start generating as soon as the first token gets in. So it's very fast. Only English and I think Chinese, so that is a bit limiting for multinational or multilingual speakers. But that is also a relief that I appreciate.
Vibe Voice, okay.
I found it very funny how people were posting about it. If it goes down, just hit up Maziar for the backup weights.
Because you're alluding to the fact that Microsoft folks tend to rush into Hugging Face and then some legal department catches up and just takes it down, as they did and continue to do.
Yeah, this happened with the last Vibe Voice release. So
and Wizard LM.
that too. That's a big one.
Alrighty, folks. How about we start with open source? Open source AI, let's get it started. We are back with the open source corner, and the first thing that we have to chat about, obviously, is DeepSeek. The whale is back, folks, with a banger release. I wouldn't say that we've seen a release from DeepSeek at the scale of DeepSeek R1 from last year. But since then, DeepSeek has continued to innovate and continued to send us updates to their models. Now DeepSeek is releasing an update to their DeepSeek V3.2 and a new model called V3.2 Special. Alrighty, so what do we know about this model? As I said in the TLDR, it's 685 billion parameters MOE. It's MIT licensed, open reasoning first models rivaling GPT-5 and Gemini 3 Pro with gold medal Olympiad wins. This is, folks, very impressive. They have achieved, at least with Special, 96% on AIME versus 94 at GPT-5 high, which is very high. Live code bench of 83, reasoning first models. So this is the eval chart for DeepSeek. And then there's like, the evals from DeepSeek are hard to read, but it's okay. Humanity's last exam, the DeepSeek V3.2 thinking, those are reasoning models, gets 25. DeepSeek Special gets 30, 25 and 30. The only one that beats Special is this gray one, and I don't know which gray it is. I think, is this Gemini 3? Yes, this is Gemini 3. So Gemini 3 is the only one that beats DeepSeek Special. So again, open source models beating most of, if not all of the frontier models on very hard benchmarks like Humanity's Last Exam. I absolutely love this. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me zoom in here a little bit. They get such a high score on HMMT.
I really think it's worth mentioning the price that you get this performance for. It's not just the performance. You get it for a much reduced price.
Yeah, we'll get to the price.
It praised everything differently.
Highlight the fact that they broke the graph. They get such a high score on the HMMT 2025. The score is outside of the graph. This is how you DeepSeek, basically. That's what I wanted to highlight. Yeah, the price is absolutely insane. A few more evals here. This is a coding model with the genetic capabilities. So terminal bench is at 46. Not state of the art, not Gemini 3, but definitely beats Claude Sonnet 4.5 and GPT-5 High. This is maybe why OpenAI is in code red, folks. Look at GPT-5 High is basically the lowest on this chart, almost on everything. And terminal bench of 46 for DeepSeek. Tau bench of 80 for DeepSeek. We had LDJ previously tell us about Tau bench. And then tool calling as well is very high. So very impressive model for the regular one. And then the Special one is even higher. The DeepSeek Special looks like it's only the reasoning. I don't know, Wolfram, if you notice this, but like DeepSeek Special's evals are only on the left, kind of. There's no agentic capabilities for Special. I think it's because it reasons for so long that it's not worth to even test this on them. Right?
It's very specialized. That's the Special in its name, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed to do very well on like Live Code Bench and SWE, but I haven't seen people use it agentically yet. I guess, yeah, there's just so much going on that people haven't tried it.
Yeah, the official word is that it doesn't support tool calling, so you won't be using it as a plugin for another model.
It doesn't support tool calling, really?
I got my information from the model card where it specifically states that please note that DeepSeek V3.2 Speciale variant is designed exclusively for deep reasoning tasks and does not support the tool calling functionality. If it does, then it's probably using some intelligence to do it, but it's not that it's been trained for this.
So the Special one, but not the regular, or both?
Yeah. No, the Special one, just the Special.
Yeah. So that's why, Wolfram, that's why, look, on this eval here, Special is the kind of the white blue, and this is on the Codeforce HLE. This is like just one shots. Then on this kind of, you see this line, this side, the right side, Sweet Bench Verify, Terminal Bench, Tau Bench, and Tool Decathlon. All of them like require tool use. This is like Special is not here. This is just DeepSeek V3.2, DeepSeek V3.2, and then that supposedly is gonna fit into some harness. But I wanted to show it's like the number 2 open model on the tool calling, and now it's like right here, just behind GPT, Codex, etc. It's a very impressive release for sure. What else can we tell you about this? Live Code Bench at 83. Special is the gold medal one, and I think that's gonna be a very specialized one. But I think the price. They also have their specific DeepSeek sparse citation, DSA, for long context efficiency. And 2 to 3 times cheaper 128K inference without performance loss. Very, very impressive. On OpenRouter, it's at 28 cents for million tokens. It's absolutely ridiculous. LDJ is with us. What's up, LDJ? Welcome to the stage.
Yeah, it's looking good. I like how they're transparent about not being quite as efficient with their reasoning tokens as Gemini 3, but it's also open source and it's really cheap. And especially their special model, which it seems to, I guess, be more optimized for things like competition coding, competition math, things like that. But overall, really interesting, great release.
Yeah. I think the price is insane. Let's move on to Mistral. I think that this is the next thing that we absolutely have to talk about. Mistral released Mistral 3. It's a series of models, Mistral 3 large and Mistral with 3 versions. Let's pull this up for us. We have to hand it to them. All open source, all Apache 2, the full suite of releases of Apache 2. They're taking a page out of the Chinese playbook, and we love it. So when you release an Apache 2, we applaud you. This is great. So while we wait for applause to finish, I will also say that there is a conversation about whether or not Mistral released or should have released this size and this performance. On the large one, I think there was a confusing screenshot somewhere that, you know, it's like very non-competitive on performance, and that screenshot was confusing because this is a non-reasoner. The Mistral large is a non-reasoning model. It just instruct, fine-tune. If you guys remember, such a thing was very common a year ago before reasoning models came about. 675 billion parameter. Wolfram, correct me if I'm wrong, the largest ever Mistral that was ever released. 675 billion parameter with 41 billion active, so it's a mixture of experts model. With 250,000 256 context window, it's trained on only 3,000 H200 GPUs. It looks like their biggest cluster is coming online soon. They are 6 on LMC's Arena on open models, and supposedly number 1 open coding benchmark, but I need to check out.
Yeah, on LM Arena, I'm looking at it now. They are just behind the Grok 4.1 and GPT 5.1 High on coding. They are actually the best. So on that particular ranking, they are the best open source coding model right now. But again, I haven't tried it agentically, so I don't know how it will perform. But yeah, so whatever that is worth on LM Arena, it is actually scoring as one of the best coding models on open source there.
On LM Arena, which is user-generated comparison, but mostly one-shot, right? Or are you talking about the code?
Yeah, it's mostly one-shot. So I think, there's something either with this benchmark that I think either tool calling wasn't run correctly, because the model seems to be a lot better than what the benchmark leads to be, at least when I tried it. So, yeah, I think people jumped a little bit too early on just like one image on the conclusion, and by
people I mean Theo. I'm assuming you saw this, but yeah, some other folks as well. This is the image that they saw on artificial analysis, which has a intelligence score, which is kind of like a weighted average of 10 evaluations: MLB Pro, GPK Diamond, Humanities, Last Exam, etc. Mistral Large 3 is I don't know how far down the line here they are, and what the folks from Hugging Face is calling out that this is the only 2 models that are on this list that are non-reasoning. There's this light bulb thingy that artificial analysis shows when it's a reasoning model, and so Mistral Large 3 is supposedly like very much behind. I can't zoom out. It's supposedly very much behind the rest of the pack, but it's only behind GPT 5.1, which is also non-reasoning. Everything else is reasoning.
Yeah, I was going to mention, this is also a non-reasoning model, which I think is interesting there. And I don't know if you guys remember, but there's some Cognition had run some tests when GPT 4.5 had come out and comparing it to some other reasoning models of the time. And what they noticed is the types of questions that it excels at. It seems to kind of be different and kind of more bigger picture things involving like cross-system dynamics and things like that, whereas reasoning models seem to perform better in different sets of questions, but you might see similar percentages in the benchmark scores, but kind of solving completely different types of questions to get to that score. And we might see something here too, whereas Niston was saying, the feel of the model being very different and excelling in a lot of ways that aren't really reflected in the benchmarks.
Yeah, I'm with it. But also, I remember a few conversations about Mistral kind of like distilling from some other places. I'm not sure. Okay, so this is Mistral Large 3. This is, I think we have to celebrate the fact that Mistral is back to the open source roots. Like,
Yeah,
this is 100%. Listen, go ahead.
Look, I want to say that as a DeepSeek fine tune, and they did some architectural changes because it added vision and it has all of Mistral's data set and styling in there. This is really, really good. We don't really have any other DeepSeek like very large MOEs that also have vision added.
I want to correct you though. We don't know if it's a DeepSeek fine tune. This is like rumors.
Or maybe they use the same architecture to build it.
I think there's some architectural stuff, but Mistral is claiming to release like fully trained models, and it's only rumored that it's a like fine tune from DeepSeek because like a very similar architecture. But Mistral is definitely not claiming, hey, we fine tuned the top DeepSeek with us. The claim to fame is, hey, we're not a Chinese fully,
okay. If they built it with the same architecture, because I did notice something that it was 41B, whereas the DeepSeek one is like 20-ish, 28B. So something was there. But again, if you use, that is an excellent architecture that works and was Apache 2 license. So there's literally nothing wrong at all with that if they trained it from scratch. But again, I'll post some other benchmarks because people are jumping to conclusions very fast on these things, and even though technically, I guess we qualify as influencers now too, at least we try to get it right.
Yes.
And they gave us the base model of the big one as well, so you can fine tune it yourself. And
Yam, if you want to comment on this,
I just want to say, Mistral Large 3 became the first open source model on Code Arena, which is notable to be among all the above Quen 3 Max. And also, it just seems like 2 different releases under the same release. I mean, the Mistral series is absolutely golden for their
so let's talk about the
There
Mistral.
is no doubt about this. But I mean, it's like completely 2 different subjects the way it looks. But
which I would say Mistral kind of missed their chance to celebrate a continuous stay in the news type of releases that Kling is now doing, where they could have released Mistral 3 and then followed up with Mistral 3s. So let's talk about Mistral. Also fully open, edge models, focused on edge, vision enabled for the first time. But as I saw that they didn't post the vision evals. So they're not like super proud of the vision performance. It's there, but it's not like the best, etc. But it is a series of small models, Mistral 3B, 8B, and 14B, great for fine-tuning and running some stuff. I know a lot of people are very excited about those. Jan, what gets you going about these? What is interesting about the small ones?
They are powerful, and you can run them on edge. They support vision. They are, without a doubt, extremely powerful models for their size. And I just want to say that it's very easy to compare Mistral to OpenAI, to Google, to Anthropic, but the real comparison here, in my opinion, should be to Quen and DeepSeek, to the open source guys. Yeah, if you spend a lot on a model, it's going to be a very good model. But at the end of the day, if you also release it open source, so let's compare it to the open source guys. And yeah, I mean, it's great to see that Mistral is back, or never left, you can say.
They're still with us, yes. So I think there were some comments from other folks, but I wanted to just like call out specifically that you said for free because they're Apache 2, but also the smaller one runs completely in the browser with WebGPU, which is insane that we're getting like this level of models. Wolfram, anything from you on the multilingual side as well? I think there's like some call outs on the European side. Would love to hear how proud of you of your European counterparts, despite the fact that they're French.
So I have good news that is excellent in multilinguality, of course. So even in German, it works very, very well. So I'm happy about that. Something I noticed, however, is that they had some repetition issues in the older models, and I saw these in the new one as well, which is a bit of a disappointment, of course.
Ooh.
So of course that can be an inference factor, but I tried it with different temperature, different repetition penalty, and yeah, it's still the same as it used to be. But as far as I know, it's also the version numbers are pretty mixed up in a way. We had the small 3.2, and now we have the large 3, which is newer than the small 3.2. But it's actually, or at least the others, the small Mistrals are obliterated versions of the old small version, where they took that model, removed parts, and fine-tuned it
I read
further.
somewhere they're pruned as well. And pruning is a technique we talked about here on the show. All right, folks, in the sake of time, just moving on. Mistral, shout out to Mistral. Great releases generally, despite the kind of the semi-cold shoulder that some folks came back with. We're going to chat with RC AI about Trinity, but RC released a Trinity open weight US trained MOE family with mini, nano, and the large ones coming soon. We're going to chat with RC. And the last thing that I wanted to highlight here on the show is a shout out to news research about the Hermes 4.3 release. This is a fully decentralized training based on their Psyche network. You can usually follow this. Decentralized, we chatted with news research about decentralized training. Basically, a bunch of GPUs from all around the world, all getting together to train these models. This is a difficult task.
Well, it's better on the refusal benchmark.
Yeah, that's true. Righty. So I think we're moving on to so RC Trinity is something that we'll definitely cover later. Folks, I think it's time to move on to bigger lab. So let's talk about OpenAI Code Red. Have you guys heard about this? Sam Altman announcing Code Red across the company. So first of all, let's say the context is it's been 3 years of ChatGPT that came in and changed, I think, all our lives and is continuously affecting 1/10 of world population's life on a weekly basis. I think the numbers they claim is around 700 to 800 million active users. So congratulations, ChatGPT, on the 3rd birthday. Definitely affected my life very, very significantly, as most of us. And in this week, OpenAI declares Code Red. Because apparently, according to the information leak, they saw a 6% daily active user drop post Gemini 3 launch because Gemini 3 launch was dope. And what does Code Red mean? Apparently, all side projects and apparently ads or side projects are paused. Shopping bots are paused. Assistants, etc. Work on additional stuff is paused. They have daily war rooms. They're going into focus mode with speed and personalization. I want to say that I'm having constant conversations with my girlfriend and she continues to complain about GPT. And so Gemini definitely stepped in and OpenAI needs to catch up because some people are kind of getting tired-ish from the OpenAI stuff. So that's very interesting. So in response to this, what happens in response to this? The information said that there's a secret project called Garlic. Apparently, Sam Altman loves the stuff. They have a new LLM in development. Internal test looks like it beats Gemini and Claude 4.5 on coding and reasoning, and it's a much more efficient one. And it's targeting GPT 5.2 in early 2026. But also there's some other models as well, folks. Comments on this Code Red situation? Comments on whether or not OpenAI is catching up?
Yeah, I know we're usually not in the business of rumors and stuff, but since we're on this point, I think it's maybe worth noting the same journalists also reported that allegedly OpenAI is planning to release a Gemini 3 competitor next week. So if that actually happens, that'll be interesting. And apparently,
which is not Garlic, which is not the kind of the upcoming.
I guess
whatever.
so. Yeah.
Because that one is scheduled for 2026. Yeah, we're not usually in the business of rumors, but when it's coming, yes. And also, next week is the 12 days of Christmas, and so if they're gonna repeat this again, we don't have any confirmation that they will. They probably have to release something that's gonna be interesting. But it's very interesting that folks are kind of giving up on ChatGPT. but also not surprising. There's so many good choices.
Yeah, I think there are two groups. There are the technical people like us, and we know Opus, and we use Opus. For me, it's my second favorite model, right behind Gemini, and it's very, very close. But remember when GPT 5.1 came out, I was a bit disappointed with it.
Yeah,
and
you were.
I still am. I still use ChatGPT on a daily basis, I think, but I'm using Gemini much more, and Opus even more.
Same.
And that is the technical part. But I'm seeing the same in the non-technical part. My wife, my mother, they are all using Gemini now, and they don't even know what Opus is, because Gemini, you get it with your phone. My mother got a Pixel phone. She has it on it as this. She uses it all the time. Then you have Nana Banana, which also got a lot of people excited, and they found out how to use it.
Incredible, just incredible.
So they have that as well. And it's just everywhere. You have Google search where you get a lot of Gemini use. I think a lot of people are using Gemini without knowing it's Gemini. And it's free. Even my little child, 8 years old, is using I probably shouldn't say it, but they are using the Gemini Google AI Studio. Yeah, the Google AI Studio where you can create games. He's creating games that way. And it's free. You just need a Google account. So in the end, it is the best intelligence you can have for free for a lot of people, while for OpenAI you have to sign up. And they have the name, they have the first mover advantage. But the difference in the model is so small that most people are just going for where they can get it cheaper and where they can get it easier. I think even a better model wouldn't change this. And the 4.0 controversy, I think that is also important to consider, that a lot of people loved ChatGPT 4.0 on the web interface, and they removed it, then they brought it back due to complaints, but they already told about sunsetting it, and I think a lot of people are also disappointed with the new one and are considering other options. So it's hard for them right now to have something much better.
And they've tried to bring back some of the personality with GPT 5.1, that 4.0 charm, and I don't think it landed well with some folks.
It's useful to take numbers into consideration. OpenAI is still leading the market on like a huge margin at this point. And again, the app ChatGPT is just useful. I'm using ChatGPT all the time. Not even, I do use the powerful models for specific use cases, but it just works. It just works. I many times I just fire ChatGPT and just do the thing that I need to do because it just works. Even if I know that there is a better model for the thing that I'm doing, because it just works. It syncs between your computer, between your smartphone. Yeah, the other apps are doing it too, but it's just not as polished. And I think that changes. That is a very major thing for many people.
Another update from big companies is Amazon Nova 2. Like, I don't know, folks, this is enterprise heavy, enterprise focus. So let's take a look. Amazon has a where's my bad? 1 second, give me a sec. Amazon has announced a series of models. Do we know if this is a fine-tune on the full pre-trained models, folks?
The Novas have been from scratch, but and I have tested them extensively before.
You have?
They were not very good before, and they had very high benchmarks and stuff. So I'm gonna err on the side of caution for this. But what they did do, which was really cool, is they added all the cool open source models to their AWS Bedrock. So now you can run Minimax and GLM and stuff on Bedrock. So I think that's like a far bigger deal than what they're selling here. They had something interesting.
The jump is very impressive, Nistan. On Artificial Analysis Index, and I love those indexes, like jumps with arrows. The Nova Premier and Nova Lite from before are jumping from around 30% to around 61%, and they're compared to Minimax M2 and Cloud Sonnet. This is like in the Artificial Analysis Index. Again, this is not necessarily indicative of actual performance, but a very significant jump for Amazon. So good job on them. Yeah.
The interesting thing that their CTO or CEO said was that now they can offer pre-training checkpoints. so that you can finish off the pre-training in the way you want. So I think that's like the real enterprise application here. Yeah, is so essentially you can continue pre-training the base model of this on your own, and that's what they're offering larger companies, I guess, or governments or whatever. So there is that. I mean, they will probably have quite a bit of business there, but yeah, as far as actual use, we don't know.
So a few things that they released Nova 2 Lite, which is enterprise speed value. It's like much cheaper than the Nova Premier of before. Nova 2 Pro, which is a preview model, they call it Agentic Leader. I don't know why, but 70% on Sui Bench verified, 93% on Tau Bench. Very impressive, 93% on Tau Bench. Wow. And the pricing is $1 million for the Nova Pro, 1 million tokens for $1.25. Very, very impressive. And the jump in 30 points in artificial analysis index is also impressive as well. And Nova 2 Omni is a new preview of their model with multimodal power. So unified multimodal text, image and video, and speech in, text and image out. 1 million token in context window, and you can upload up to 90 minutes of video. And that one gets 61% on MMMU Pro and 58% on OCR Bench. I think this is a very interesting release from the folks at Amazon, right? Shout out to Amazon, basically. Folks, I think it's time for this week's box super quick before I interview with Lucas from RC, and we have to talk about a bunch of video stuff as well. But as a reminder, this show is sponsored solely by Weights and Biases from CoreWeave. This week's Buzz is a corner where I tell you a little bit about ours and our releases and the cool stuff. And this week we have a very cool one. So let's go. This week's Buzz. Welcome to this week's Blogs, folks, a corner of Thursday AI where I talk about a little bit of an update from Weights and Biases. And this week I have to show you this cool thing that we just launched. If you want to evaluate models, how do you do it? Well, some folks run some code, some folks are trusting external evaluation partners. But running this code sometimes is complex and you don't want to do it, and maybe some of it requires GPUs. Well, we launched a new thing called LLM evaluation jobs in WB models. This essentially means two things. First of all, if you're training with Weights and Biases, you can evaluate mid-training checkpoints without thinking about this too much. Very, very easy to do. You already upload your artifacts as you train on Weights and Biases. As a reminder, most of the labs that we talk about usually use Weights and Biases for training experiments as well. You can very simply choose a mid-checkpoint and run evaluations on it. And evaluations, we have over, I think, 200 evaluations from Inspect AI, which is a kind of like a unified evaluation tool. And I want to show you super quick how this looks. And the second one is, if you have an LLM that is exposed on OpenAI available API, so that would be any model on OpenRouter, this would be any Chinese model that gets released, all of them support OpenAI compatible spec. You can just tell us the base URL and run this experiment. But this is only a preview, so please let us know whether or not this works for you. So now in Weights and Biases, you can say evaluate API hosted model or evaluate a model checkpoint. If you have a model checkpoint, you can just select the model checkpoint here. But if you have an API hosted model, any model, all you need to do is come in here, and then you have to tell us the base URL, which is an OpenAI compatible base URL. If you go to OpenRouter, let me open the router super quick. If you go to OpenRouter, choose any model like Gemini 3 Preview, and then you go to Quick Start. This is the base URL you need, openrouter.ai API v1. If you go to WNB inference, you can also get it. This is the base URL. You choose the model name and you provide the API key, and that's it. And then you choose which evals you want to run. So if you want to run, let's say MMIU, MMLU Pro, and you can run a bunch of them together. You can run DocVQA, if eval, humanities last exam, all of these things, and then basically you run this eval. This is it. This is as easy as that. You need an API key and a base URL, and then you can run evaluations. And then what you get in response is this kind of like leaderboard type visual that we have on Weave. So all of the evaluations will also be tracked on Weave, obviously, and it will look kind of like this, and you can see that we've compared a bunch of like Microsoft Phi and Quen and Nexus and a bunch of other models, and you can see this beautiful evaluation dashboard. So this is a quick update from us. This is a preview feature. I'm super excited about this. Wolfram, I know I shared this with you as well.
I love this.
If you have any comments you want to share with us, feel free. Yeah, it should save a bunch of time for folks who are doing evals. The last thing I will say, that our competitors are dropping like flies and they're getting purchased by bigger companies and they stopped their services. So first, this was Human Loop, which is a Weave competitor that was purchased by Anthropic and then closed its services. And if you use Human Loop, you're welcome to come to Weave. And now it is Neptune AI. So congratulations to Neptune AI for getting acquired by OpenAI. Very, very impressive. Neptune has been used by a bunch of companies, and now Neptune is shutting down their services because all they're going to do is work for OpenAI. So if you're a Neptune customer, we have a super easy script for you to import Neptune stuff into Weights and Biases. Like it's really that easy. Just go in here, you load the exports, Neptune exporter load into 1B, and that's it. And I would like to call out that we were already acquired and we're still here. And we're continuing to be here. We're dedicated to make sure that your experiments will not stop running. We're dedicated to your LLM use cases will not stop running. So you should choose a company that cares about you and your workflows even after they get acquired. That's all I'm saying. So if you use Neptune, feel free to try out Weights and Biases. And if you don't know how, DM us on Twitter. We're going to help you with the migration. Folks, this has been this week's Buzz. And now we're going to move on and chat with Lucas Atkins from RC about US-made full pre-trains. And then after this, we're going to move to our multimodal section. We're going to talk about a bunch of video models from this week, a bunch of image models from this week, including a demo that I prepared for you. So let's go. And with that, we want to welcome Lucas back to the show. Lucas, the CTO of RCAI. Welcome back, man. Great to see you. How are you doing? Are you in Europe? What's new in your life besides Trinity?
Hey, yeah, Alex. Good to be back. Yeah, here at NERPS this week. I think I'll be here till Sunday. So yeah, looking forward to it. Yesterday was my first full day. Massive amount of attendees this year. It's like super, super busy. So good chance to meet everyone.
Yeah, so NeurIPS is absolutely insane, folks. If you are tuning in from NeurIPS or listening to this while you walk the halls and see the papers, etc., NeurIPS is very interesting. One of the talks of NeurIPS, as far as I am understanding, I'm not there this year, is bigger SaaS companies fine-tuning their own models on top of Chinese open source, which is kind of the rumor that will happen with a bunch of stuff. This is kind of the alpha that goes around the halls. And I actually want to talk to you about this because we chatted about a bunch about fine-tunes and we haven't seen a lot of pre-trains from coming, like full models created all in-house, and you guys are one of the last ones to do it, definitely. So how about first, I would love to hear you tell us what Trinity is, what RC is, maybe as a reminder for folks, and let's celebrate Trinity for a bit and the license, and then we'll talk about why and how.
That was a sick segue, by the way. Like that was like super well done. So for those who don't or know or aren't really familiar with RC, we've been around a couple of years, and very much, actually, we're kind of born in the idea of taking like open weight models and customizing them for enterprises, businesses, developers. We trained a 4.5B, released that back in July, and then kind of the rest is history. We realized we could do this, and we wanted to kind of help bring back fully US-based pre-trained models, especially MOEs, right? Like as you see coming, almost exclusively out of the Chinese lab. So Trinity is our family of models. This is our first effort in that area. On Monday, we released 2 of them. So Mini, which is our 26B, 3B active, and then we did a preview of our like very tiny, very deep 6B, 1B active, which is like an alien species. That thing is like ridiculously hard to train, but like super, super fun to play with. And then we also announced that these were mostly in an effort to prepare ourselves infrastructure-wise, knowledge-wise, de-risking-wise for Trinity Large, which is training right now, which will be kind of our full leap to a frontier class model. That one will be 420 billion parameters, 13 active.
So when is the large coming for 120 billion parameters? Do you have a date for
I
us?
don't have a
Or not
specific
yet?
date, but
I don't have a specific date, but
it'll be mid-January, mid-January
All right.
2026.
And so you announced a few things. I'm going to run through them super quick for folks. So Trinity Mini is a 26 billion parameter MOE, and Trinity Nano Preview is 6 billion parameter MOE. And you said fully US trained. My question to you, the next question to you is, why does it matter where they come from?
For the vast majority of people, especially like individual developers and users, it doesn't. I think that the most important thing, right, is using the best model for your task. Whether that comes from China, whether that comes from the United States, whether it's a closed model, open model. But there is a growing portion of companies, especially in the West, especially once you kind of get into the Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 range, where the AI teams want to use the best open model available to train or run without training, but for efficiency gains in-house. And the compliance teams and legal teams are starting to get very, very particular about where that model was trained, where that model is being downloaded from, if they're using an API, where that API is being hosted. And it's slowing down a lot of growth within enterprises. And so it is something that I think is only going to get worse, whether or not I agree with it. I think some of the politicizing around China versus American AI can be a little hyperbolic. Like, I mean, these labs in China are they're doing unbelievable things. We would not be able to do what we've done without the reports and models that they've released. And I have extreme gratitude and thanks for them. But it is something that I think is going to get worse, whether or not I agree with it. So we thought, we were in a kind of uniquely capable position to help solve for that.
You mentioned some diminishing returns hit on post-training on other people's checkpoints. Can you elaborate on this in the blog post that you posted?
Yeah, I think it's I was in another interview yesterday and that came up, and I think there's a little bit of nuance there. It comes down to a couple things, similar to my earlier statement, where like for individual developers or for like a very specific task, the ceiling on those diminishing returns will be rather high. What ends up happening though, when you get into dealing with medium-sized businesses or even enterprises, is you end up having this, at least we at RC did, kind of weird job or project timeline where, say, a deal was signed in January to help make a custom model for a specific task, or it was kind of initially talked about in January, and then it was scoped out, and then a deal was signed in March, because these deals take a very long time. And then once you start working March, maybe it's not fully finished until May or June. And at that point, with how quickly this space is moving, you might be 2 generations behind what the frontier is at. So if the initial goal was to have something that was, capable of the frontier on this specific task, you are constantly kind of chasing what is available out there, which would require like new weights, or hoping that other open models came out in the meantime that you might be able to pivot kind of your training pipeline to. And it got into this weird space where we at RC especially were relying on other companies releasing capable open weight models. And with some of those contracts, having it be a Western company was like a requirement in the contract. And I didn't like the idea of the foundation of our business being reliant on another company releasing models. I think if we're going to do well, I would like that to be because we've done well throughout the entire stack. And if we're going to fail, I'd rather it be something that I can then do a post-mortem on and not have happen again, instead of just kind of hoping that it gets better.
Lucas, tell us about like MOEs, why specifically they're hard to train, and what took to train good ones.
MOEs can be and often are cheaper than training a dense model, especially at like that size. But they're definitely not easier. And I think that they're extremely inference efficient. So one of the reasons you train an MOE is because you can get a tremendous amount of performance per dollar at inference time compared to a dense model of the same size.
Mhm.
And that becomes very, very, very pivotal now in kind of this RL paradigm, where you're doing a tremendous number of rollouts over, on a massive cluster, and you're generating many, many answers to a problem, and trying to teach the model to get better and better and better. It's just the compounding of benefit you get from having a very inference efficient model is
Mm.
is extremely high. It's you see
I never
something many.
considered this. Let me just like
Yeah,
replay this to you to see if I understand this correctly. So you're
yeah,
saying MOEs, which have a certain number of active parameters, that are
yeah.
significantly less than the total like dense model, etc., are not only cheaper to run inference to serve to your customers,
Mhm.
but also they're cheaper to then RL fine tune with reinforcement
Absolutely.
learning
Yeah, I mean it's
because you
in the
have to
exact
like
same way. Yeah. It's because so it's like
dude.
so say this hasn't been said explicitly, but Minimax M2 came out recently, and their first model, and I'm gonna get the exact number wrong, but I believe it was like 460B 40 something active, and it was a really good model. But then Minimax M2 came out, which was like orders of magnitude better. It was like 220B 10 active. And that was like a very interesting choice. And it immediately became clear that they realized they could get more in post training by being able to do more steps and do more rollouts. Because in RL, I'm going to simplify this almost too much, but you're basically taking a problem, like a prompt, if you will, in an environment, having the model generate 8, 16, 32, 64, 128 different answers to that problem. You're grading it somehow with a judge or some kind of verifier, um, and then rewarding the model based on if any of those were close enough to that reward. So the cheaper and faster you can make those rollouts, the more RL you can do, therefore the more benefit you get. So that makes it an enticing target, right? In this kind of new phase of RL offering such tremendous post-training gains. For the original question, for like pre-training, as you scale up, you are sharding this model across, in our case, thousands of GPUs. And if you have 128, 256 experts that are being activated every token, those tokens have to be sent across many different GPUs. And so the training actually becomes like a communication bottleneck. You need to have very fast interconnect between the nodes, between the GPUs themselves, and then you also just run into the overall tokens per second MFU issue of ensuring that like you are getting enough speed to get through your token budget. So it's a vast simplification, but MOEs are hard to train, but the benefit is like very much worth the risk.
That's great, Lucas. You guys didn't do all this alone. You mentioned like two partners there. Dataloggy, would love to
Yeah.
hear you work with Dataloggy and like what Dataloggy does and how you like got to 10 trillion, something like this. I think you posted.
Yeah.
And shout out Prime Intellect at any point because we love those guys.
Datology is an unbelievable company, and their focus is kind of like enterprises to be able to take their internal data and then rewrite it and synthesize it and curate it in such a way that you can train your own very tiny LLM for drastically cheaper because you can get way more performance per token and kind of own your weights. Very similar to the thesis between all these companies. And we came to them because I knew the team, I liked them, and I basically said, okay, like you're doing all this for enterprise performance per token, whatever. I know your whole thing is like do more with less. I said, what if we could do more with more? And so we've spent the last kind of 6 months kind of building out like this full pre-training, beautiful pre-training corpus. And Mini and Nano were both on an improvement on the data set we did for 4.5B, adding a lot of math and code. But over the last month, we spun up roughly 2,100 H100s and generated 10 trillion synthetic pre-training tokens. And then we have another 10 trillion on top of that for a total of 20. So we're super excited.
How do you verify the quality of that many tokens? Just like walk me through, like you generate a bunch of stuff. How do you verify that whatever synthetic was generated like makes sense for your training?
There's a few ways. I think that the biggest one is making clear that like this isn't phi style synthetic data where we're like generating from large teacher models and mostly training over like instruction tuned data. So there's less concern there about ensuring that the information from X, Y, and Z model is correct. This is like taking already existing web crawls and rewriting them in such a way that they are easier for a model to learn more from. So verification becomes easier because it's less about having to, go out and prove some like highly difficult to find scientific proof from a model. It's about, oh, is the answer to this thing or the fact in this piece of text the same as what was in the seed piece of text? So it's a little bit simpler. And then also they do a tremendous number, like beyond the synthetic stuff, everything is like super curated for kind of what you want it to be good at. So there's a tremendous amount of validation that goes into the stack that they built out truly. I would argue that it probably rivals what you see in a lot of these frontier labs because they're all doing the same thing, by the way. Every single new model is a tremendous amount of synthetically rewritten text on top of some really high quality data. And then obviously Prime Intellect, huge friends of ours, massive partners, and just kind of RL and compute infrastructure wizards. So right after AFM 4.5b, they reached out and they said like they wanted to help. How can we do this? And they really, especially Sammy and Johannes over at their team, have been like tremendously involved. So while it has our name on it, this is very much a partnership.
So shout out to Prime Minister, like especially we also chatted about their like Intellect 3
Yeah.
models that they just like released as well.
I mean, that wasn't
and
a
also,
coincidence, right? Like if you're looking at, we're trying to train this big of a model, like you have to do quite a bit of work to make sure that you can RL and MOE at that scale. So I'm very happy that they did the grunt work to make sure that we could do what we need to do.
I'll just call out super quick. One of the folks that I've talked to on record at AI Engineer was Will Brown, and he goes deep into RL and RL environments as well. So look forward for that episode when that comes out, folks. Probably come out sometime during the holidays. Lucas, you mentioned big labs, you mentioned from Frontier Labs. This week also Mistral kind of release. It's very interesting for you and Mistral kind of 3 to release on the same week. Would love to hear comments from you on kind of what's going on over there and how their performance is happening. And they're releasing like basically also Western fully pre-trained base models as well. What's your take on Mistral generally right now after the heydays of open source Mistral 7B and whatever, and now where they at and they came back fully to Apache 2? General feedback would be great. Any spicy takes that you want to share with us also would be very welcome.
No, I as far as spicy takes, I have tremendous gratitude for Mistral. I mean, I think there's a lot of people who are in, maybe not even just listening to this podcast, but are members of kind of the main team here who very much got into open source AI because of what Mistral did and the way that they kind of catalyzed this fire that kind of ignited in a lot of people who are now like actively working. Like most of my team are members who are like self-taught kind of like research engineers who kind of come from the open source AI world, and Mistral is a major reason that was even possible. As far as like Mistral 3, I'm interested to learn more. I think what's kind of come out is in like their legal docs, they've noted that the Mistral 3, at least the mini one, 3B, was like pruned from Mistral 23B or 24B. So I'm super interested in that because pruning there's a kind of an open debate right now of like, should you always start from scratch or should you initialize from like a previous model and train further? And the Mistral Large looks fantastic. I mean, that is great. It's very much DeepSeek architecture. Like it is DeepSeek through and through. Architecture wise, but that Kimi also does that. Like DeepSeek's the GOAT. There's no knock on doing that. Like training MOEs is not as easy as just like import DeepSeek train. It looks good. I haven't really had a chance to play around with it a lot, but I don't really see them as like a super big competitor for us. We're mainly focused on like, hey, we want to like do the US and America proud and kind of really push for that. So I have nothing in my mind except making sure Trinity does everything we need it to over the next couple months.
Well, that's great. Lucas, I think one last thing we have for you, and then we'll let you go to walk the NeurIPS halls and see some papers that are maybe no longer relevant, because that's my experience with NeurIPS. You come there, you see papers, and the
Yeah.
world of AI has moved so far ahead
Yeah.
that these papers are like, man, I
Well,
remember talking
do
about
you
this.
remember when he used to say, like, if you went into computer science, what you learned in the first 2 years is irrelevant by the time you graduate?
Yeah.
Like, it's like that now, but like 2
On
weeks.
a weekly
Like, it's
almost
crazy.
basis,
Yeah,
100%.
it's wild.
Nistan, I think you had a follow-up super quick question that you wanted to ask Lucas.
Yeah, because I saw you guys are training with 2,000 GPUs
I
now.
think I can't hear you.
Well, okay, Lucas, the question is, what are the challenges that are coming with training on 2,000 GPUs?
So challenges are a lot of the kernels that exist from Chinese labs in the US are for a Hopper. So we've had to do a lot of work in order to get the performance uplift that is like claimed and possible with Blackwell that is not for free. There's quite a lot of background work that has to go in there. And the other one, which was an interesting find, and we'll have more about this in our tech report, is when we were kind of designing the shape for large, we noticed we were comparing it to a lot of like Kimi, GLM, and like DeepSeek, Quen, and trying to have a similar number of experts and layers and similar kind of width and shape. And what ended up happening was we were not getting as good of performance on Blackwell as we were on Hopper with those architectures. And we realized that, oh, they might not have settled on these shapes because they, in their ablations, they were like the perfect MOE shape. They settled on that because using their H800s, that was the most optimal shape for those machines. And that there's likely a much more optimal shape for the newer Blackwell, and there will be for what comes after that. So it was a very interesting, it was a little scary for us because it was like the first time going into this where we didn't have kind of like a blueprint for what to do. We kind of had to make our own way. So while the shape ultimately is still in the realm of those models, like there's quite a few changes that we had to do. And one of the reasons we went super sparse, right? Like we're not doing 32B active, we're doing 13 is because going that sparse, we actually got much faster throughput than if we'd even gone with like a lower total number. So yeah, there definitely were, but kind of all very exciting.
Well, Lucas, I just wanted to highlight the fact that you guys have been on our radar. You're obviously friends of the show. You've been here before as well. It's huge congrats on the release of Trinity. It seems like a lot of work has went into this, a lot of sleepless nights as well. So for you and the team at RC, we're always welcoming you guys to chat about this. Open source is very important to us as well here on Thursday. So this is why we will continue celebrating this, and Western open source following up as well is very, very important. So we're looking forward for the Trinity Large. 420 is a very interesting choice of parameters.
Not intentional, but I'll take it.
So we'll see you when that happens. Meanwhile, we'll let you get back to NeurIPS. Any last call outs or anything else that we've missed that I didn't ask you that you wanted to like mention while you're here on the show?
No, just thank you for kind of running this tirelessly for the last couple of years. It's been like it's a super amazing resource for the community, and I think there's a lot of people who wouldn't be in this business if not for what you're doing. So not just weights and biases, but you in particular. I'll stop glazing though. You guys have a nice one. Thanks for having me, Alex.
I get flashbacks from GPT. Thank you, man.
Bye.
I appreciate you. All right, folks, this was Lucas Atkins, the CTO of RCAI, on the release of Trinity, and getting our folks back here on the stage. As we usually do, super quick reactions to our conversation with Lucas. Anything that you guys want to bring up? And then just a reminder, we'll move on to the multimodal section of the show and finish up strong.
We got some alpha out of him. It's going to be 13B active for Trinity Large. And yeah, that was actually very, very helpful and very interesting to think about. That, yeah, the reason the models are the way they are is not necessarily because that's how they're the smartest. Is that just what fits the cache hierarchy and memory and training pipelines? Yeah. So that is very, very interesting.
One thing that I've learned definitely is the fact that like RL is cheaper not only for inference, MOEs are cheaper not only for inference but also for RL reasons as well, because you do a bunch more rollouts and then you can train with RL like cheaper. That was super cool for me to realize. Alrighty, folks, let's move on to the video stuff. There's a bunch of video models this week, including one from from today. Let's talk about Opus for just maybe 2 minutes, because folks, what the fuck? This model, especially I'm using this on Cursor. I know some folks here use it with Cloud Code. It was just released last week, so we didn't really have to say anything last week. We didn't play with it. This week for me, I did some vibe coding of some stuff that I'll show you in a second, and Gemini went lost. And so Gemini left me in like a completely broken state of code. What I did is I went to Cursor. Cursor had this beautiful mode of ask. I used Opus 4.5 high, and I said, hey, will this run? Opus reviewed and said, this will never run because of A, B, and C, and what you need to do is A, B, and C. And I looked at it and like, Gemini didn't even tell me this wouldn't run. Gemini like said, hey, we probably should do it this way, and just started implementing this like straight up. And I just literally saw the difference with the two models. And then what Opus did worked completely out of the box, the time after time. I barely had to intervene. I was so impressed. My jaw was on the floor. It explained beautifully. It did the thing. In my case, this was a Chrome extension. I should explain my case. There's a Chrome extension, and I wanted to use Weave, and Weave only has a TypeScript SDK, and TypeScript doesn't compile into a Chrome extension because there's no node runtime. And so Gemini didn't know about this, so started importing some stuff and node packages, whatever. Nothing worked. Opus came in and said, no, this will never work because, like, Chrome extensions don't run node runtime. You can import. Don't be stupid, and just fix it. And then fixed it. It was just beautiful. And then I used Opus as a prompt engineer for the infographics that I used, and especially the big one. And Opus absolutely, like this one, Opus absolutely mocked ChatGPT in creating the specific infographic and all the things. So I'm very impressed with Opus. Very, very impressed with Opus. Whatever Anthropic is doing is just fucking cooking.
What I want to say, especially for Chrome extension, I also made it also a zero-shot a Chrome extension for me. What I want to highlight is not that it just is a good coder. Okay, it is 100%, but there are other good coding models. It also knows how to debug and iteratively use the browser itself to develop the Chrome extension on its own. And I haven't seen any other model do that zero-shot end-to-end and debug the actual site.
I wanted to say that Gemini via anti-gravity can absolutely do this. They have a Chrome integration with a Chrome extension. However, for some reason, and this is like unrelated to anything that we're going to talk about, the Cloudflare human, are you human thing fails when you have the anti-gravity extension on Chrome. So like you can't access like any of the stuff that Cloudflare protects, and you have to disable that extension, but then like anti-gravity cannot control the browser. It's really like fucking annoying. Never mind. Folks, let's move on. Let's actually continue on this thread of what I built with Opus, because I really want to show you.
I just want to tell you something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that the most, I've been using Opus for a week now, just like everybody else. Yeah, it's a monster, there is no doubt. I just want to highlight, it's not that for head-to-head, you take Opus and throw it on a task. It for sure is going to be the best for the task. There are other models that definitely are better for, different use cases. But the thing about Opus is that it's both fast, it's both accessible, it's both can do so many step-by-step turns on its own, correct itself, and everything together, the entire behavior just makes it a beast. You can throw at every single thing, but it is worth mentioning that I do see from time to time, and not from time to time, I do have from time to time issues with models, just like everybody else. Models mess up. So I try a different one like Codex and Gemini, and sometimes they are better for the given task that Opus messed up. But yeah, overall, yeah, the Opus is definitely a monster. 100%.
Opus is a monster.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so moving forward a little bit while on this case, the thing that Opus helped me this week with is I wanted to play with the new image models. And so this week has been a boon for video models and image models. Last week we told you about, was that ByteDance Z image, which is like super cool and super cheap, right, Wolfram? Wolfram saying yes. Well, there's a company called Pruna AI, and they released P image. And this model is also generating under 1 second with half a cent. Yes. And the edit is 1 cent, also under 1 second. Z image doesn't have it. P image from Pruna is really good, and I wanted to see it visually and compare. And I think I showed you last time, but it didn't really work the demo. I had this like Chrome extension on top of this game called Infinite Fun or Infinite Crafts from Neil, and I actually built this extension and released it, so you guys can see the extension here. It's gonna. How can I show you this in somewhere else so that you don't? Oh, it's not going to be over my face. I don't know how to. Okay, I'm going to sit here. So you have a QR code here that you can scan and like go to the GitHub super quick. Wolfram, I'm sorry, I'm going to. Oh, actually, like this. Okay. So this is this game, okay? And this game, the Chrome extension that was written was completely like rewritten with Opus. You can now add your replicate API key. OpenAI key is not really OpenAI. Like, we're using Cerebrus, but now you have all these like image models, including Seedream 4.5, which also launched this week, but also the Pruna P image, and you can compare them. So basically, you're playing this game and kind of you're collecting, combining concepts, and then Cerebrus runs in the background. And it's going to take a second, so we can see how long. Cerebrus, for some reason, took like over a
Cerebrus
second.
Runs diffusion models now?
No,
Or...
Cerebrus creates the prompt for this, and then I use this prompt and as a prompt engineer, and I run this model for 1.4 seconds total. This is P image. Look at this beauty. Look at how beautiful this thing is. If we want to compare this to Z image turbo that was before, we just save to Z image, and we're gonna get Z image in a second. So the same kind of JDragon, but a little bit less. So actually, I was very impressed with the scale of P image turbo. It's really fast as well. This game is all about speed, right? Because you're going to, let's add lilies. I'd like the lilies. Let's add a bunch of lilies, and then we can wait, and you can see the progress here. And then in a second, we're going to have this beautiful like JDragons with a bunch of lilies. And basically, this is the game. I have also, the QR code that I posted, I have published this Chrome extension that you guys can check it out here at this URL with the alternate intent file extension. So you can play with this yourself. Just add your replicate or file API keys. The cool thing about this is also this is all tracked in Weave. So everything that you do here, if you have like a beautiful generation, you can see the prompt. So again, everything that happens within the Chrome extension is now tracked within Weave. If I generate, let's say, a completely new thing, mud and smoke and flower are going to go like this, and then Buddha and flower. Okay, Buddha and flower. This, and then we're going to add some tea and some bricks. I'm going to wait, and it's going to come with some stuff. Okay, and then we're going to go to dashboard, refresh, and then we'll see all of those concepts traced beautifully into here. You see, flower, Buddha, and tea. And then we'll see the response. This was the response from replicate Pruna P image. And in case we want to compare to a different model, that Seedream 4.5 that also got released, it's going to take some time because Seedream is slower and Nano Banana is even slower still. But we're going to compare. We're going to wait, I think it's around 10 seconds for the Seedream 4.5. We're going to see a beautiful scene generated by them. And then we're going to also like trace it and see. Beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful image here with Buddha. So shout out to Seedream. And if we go and actually see the actual, if we want to see the actual image, we can do so here. Let's refresh, and then we can see. It's gonna take a second because the image is large. So basically, everything is traceable. This is the Chrome extension that helped me build. It lets me play with the new AI like models. If you want to try this out, this is on the QR code here on the right. I don't know, folks, if you played it with any of these image models, but very, very impressive. Very impressive, especially the P image from Pruna. It's like just flies.
The new Seedream is also very good, and it's on FAD as well. They're very strong in prompt following. I have some prompts that work even better there than in Nano Banana, interestingly.
Text is much sharper, logo design and multi-image editing. It's not yet as strong as Nano Banana for something like infographics.
Alex, compared to Nano Banana, but like for real world usage, because Nano Banana you can use for professional usage, editing images and so on. What do you think? You have a lot of experience with these models. What do you think?
So, Seedream was always good. Nano Banana just changed the game for all of these. And I think I showed you before kind of P-Image and P-Image Edit, for example, from Pruna. They will compete with Nano Banana just on speed, because sometimes you will just want to iterate on prompts super quick and you don't have the time to wait. But if you want to generate 4K image with Nano Banana, is absolutely the one to beat right now. It's no comparison. It doesn't mean that these models will not release. Yes, for quick generations, for things that need real time. Sub-second generation is incredible. When Nano Banana Pro gets to sub-second generation, we're cooked. All of us are cooked, absolutely.
But Alex, that is a great thing that you mentioned, that you can, for instance, use a cheap model to iterate quickly. And then when you get an image that looks the way you like it, you can take that to Nano Banana Pro and iterate on that. So that is what I meant when the Seedream has great prompt following. So I take those pictures and I put them into Nano Banana, so I have a structure, and then I improve the image there.
Kling released Kling Video 2.6. The main thing about Kling Video 2.6 is audio. Kling now adds native audio to generations and with native lip sync as well. So this is one image, and then Kling generated this, and hopefully you guys can hear it.
Why do you always work overtime until late at night?
Because I make decisions during the day, and I'm responsible for changing those decisions at night.
Why do you always work?
Yes. As you can see, multi-person audio generation, lip sync is perfect. They talk when they need to talk, unlike Sora, for example, which is difficult. And
you told them exactly the text that they should say. Like this is completely following the prompt.
Yes,
just to be clear.
This is lip sync.
Okay,
This is not like Sora where like the model comes up with the thing. Native audio capability also makes like singing possible for this example.
Crowd going wild, mic in my grip, dreams on chain, let the rhythm ride by, bar 5 frames, keep the energy high. This is how we fly, need to deny, grenade. Guard.
So as you can see, like it's not too bad, but again, and this is not an open source model. Don't get me wrong. This is Kling trying to compete with Veo 3.1 and Sora. Speaking of video models, this week, for the first time since Veo 3.1 came out, we have a competitor basically beat the video arena. And this was last week. This was tested as Whisper Thunder. And Runway was revealed with Gen 4.5 to be this Whisper Thunder model. So Runway released, well, at least announced Runway 4.5. I wasn't able to get my hands on it, unfortunately. Like, it's still locked, and it's also not sound. The sound is coming, but are we seeing this? Yeah. Okay. So Runway has introduced Gen 4.5, and the prompt here is incredible, realistic physics and weights, which is like a thing where you watch many video models. The physics don't feel quite real. And that's how you can catch, like, people move differently. They don't move as though they have actual physical weight. There's a bunch of stuff. So Runway is really good at that, apparently. Runway has been one of the first, like, foundational models on video as well. And it looks like they're innovating. Let's look at some Runway examples, because they are definitely mind-blowing.
We made something quite special.
Every pixel here is generated.
We made something in a category all of its own. We made something for all of the worlds yet to be imagined, explored, and simulated. Something so you can make anything. Introducing Runway Gen 4.5.
Okay, this is super cool. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It beats Veo 3. But one, it's not available yet. Two, Runway is an incredible company to promote their products. They have cinematographers working for them. Like, this is, but the thing that you notice here is that every like 3 beats or 4 beats, they change the shot. the AI models of today are still locked into like 8-second generation. You have to flip the shot. Like we're still not like fully there where like we can replace Hollywood, but runway is getting very, very close, and they also have a bunch of tools to do this. So this has been this week's video run, like incredible models one after another. Nothing in open source, I believe. It's just like API models, but definitely a very big video model week. Folks, I think we covered everything, including an interview of a very, very big show, our first for December. Anything else you guys wanted to bring up before we kind of drop off? Anything important? Anything you're looking forward to next week? Any discussion points?
So one thing I noticed is when I was using Gemini, which, as I said, I'm using it much more than ChatGPT now, it popped up that they now have the memory feature. I think they have had that a long time now.
Yep.
But it popped up to me, so I was using it. And the cool thing is the integration with the Pixel phone. I don't even have to unlock my phone. I can just put it anywhere. I just say the magic words, and I can talk to my AI assistant, which has control of my house, control of my mail, control of my notes, my to-dos.
Wow.
That is amazing. I'm using it all the time now, and I'm really happy about this. I just have it in my pocket. I say what I want. For example, okay, Google, turn off the lights. And now I should soon be in the dark. But it's that easy. Yeah, see?
Alle Lichter sind aus, Bossman.
All lights are off.
Für deine Schönheitsschlaftherapie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's that easy. Now I have another light that is not connected to the Home Assistant. That is why still the light is on. But yeah, it's so easy. I can say, check my mails, make a to-do. I love it. I love this integration. And no matter how good the model is, if it's not integrated, in ChatGPT, I integrated the MCPs, which I set up myself, and it was quite complicated. Here, I didn't even have to set anything up. It's connected with my Google accounts. So that is a big advantage that Google has. And for me, the winner of the year in AI is Google because of that, because it feels so new to me, even having used assistants all the time. This is a real assistant in your pocket, like what we had been expecting that maybe OpenAI would be releasing. And yeah, it's here now. I'm using it. I love it.
Awesome. Wolfram, I think you reminded me of something that we used to do, and I think we should keep doing this this year as well. We're going to do end of year recaps and predictions in next week's episode, folks. So feel free to co-host, prepare for that. Folks, feel free to chime in with yours in comments as well. We're going to do recaps, and then we're going to take a look at the predictions that we had last year, and I think we stored them as well.
Wolfram, I want to show you something. I don't know if you guys could see, but I'm talking with Claude Code on WhatsApp the entire day. Like I have a video, I posted a video on X. I'm all day long. It's with recordings and everything, like transcription, everything end to end. I have a Claude Code running on my main machine. It's connected to WhatsApp, and I just chat with it from my phone. And it's just a connection, like seamless connection. You add to the system prompt, hey, I'm talking to you from WhatsApp, so please short sentences, because the screen is much narrower, and it works so well, man, with Opus and so on. It works so well. So I absolutely agree with you. Integration is everything when you have something like that. Man, it unlocks so much. All right,
let's finish this on a strong note. Nistan and LDJ would love to hear from you guys a use case of AI that's not super standard that you use integration-wise or otherwise. Maybe a highlight of your week from an integration of a use point.
Opus with AMP just like saved my ass. I needed to do something very quickly for work, and it basically just one-shotted it, fixed it, found problems that nobody else had found so far on this project.
Listen, I got a really good question, or at least I would like to ask you to sell me AMP. Tell me why AMP is so good, because I see AMP all the time, and I just want to hear from someone that actually uses it. What's so good about AMP?
It's so I don't use it all the time because it's just too expensive. I can't afford it. But like if a company pays for it, that's great. It's you just throw it at a very large code base, and you don't worry too much about the prompting and the agentic setup. Now, I do have all of that with Claude Code. I have review sub-agents. I have the skills tree set up. and it's always a hassle to kind of just get it working there. But I just hit my limits on Cloud Code, so then I couldn't keep using it. And then this thing that I'd spent 3-4 days in with Cloud Code, I just fired up AMP, and it just kind of figured it out.
That's convincing. That's very convincing, I must say. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a very opinionated setup of what you have. So when you need something done very quickly, you just pay it off and use that.
Let's shout out AMP super quick, because Ryan Carson, who joins our show often, is working on AMP, and they have switched their primary agent, and they choose the primary agent for you. They're opinionated very much. They switched from Gemini 3 only after a week to Opus 4.5, and it's really, really good. LTJ, what is your use case? And we'll end on this.
It's something I've been doing recently, and open models and local models have been getting good enough to the point where, I mean, especially for things like let's say I'm signing a certain agreement or contract of some kind, and it's like multiple documents, and I don't want to send it to ChatGPT or Gemini because that's potentially sensitive information and so on. And so using local models, but together with something like web search MCPs that I've been using with local models, and then I can have a lot more intelligence of just what a local model would usually give me, and without being able to, usually not able to web search, but now able to, and help me just in a lot more ways like that, and navigate various legal policies and make sure I'm signing something that I actually want to sign.
Nice. Well, I'll end on my case, but Opus is now part of Cursor, and Cursor has a browser as well. So basically, Opus is answering me in ask mode, and you can just chat with Opus like directly via Cursor, and I use that like all the time now. So I asked it to be my prompt engineer. It has nothing to do with code. It has nothing to do with files. Opus just like you select ask in Cursor and just like select Opus 4.5 high. And so you can basically, if you pay for one product, you don't need to pay for the other ones as well.
And if you listen this far into the session, there's a treat for you. It's free right now in anti-gravity. I think Google needs all the data.
Opus is?
Opus 4.5 thinking.
Opus is in anti-gravity? What?
Yeah. Opus
Are you serious?
Right now, I am using it. And also Google Colab announced a Colab extension, which I was able to install. So now I just fired up instance on Google Colab and have Opus on anti-gravity running stuff on it, on the GPU. Like,
I gave it 30 minutes.
There's
like
no
1 hour.
Better,
1 hour.
Wait, hold on, Ram. There's no better experience for me when I learn something new, super cool on Thursday. I need some thank you, folks. Anti-gravity from Google now has Opus 4.5, and it's free, and you can use it. It's not gonna last long, probably. But I went to Cursor because Opus, was on there. I would have stayed in anti-gravity if I could. So that's like super cool. All right, there's no better way to end the show than Alex is getting excited by like a thing. Wolfram apparently mentioned it first, so thank you, Wolfram. If you go to hopefully you guys can see this now, if you go to anti-gravity and you drop this out, Opus 4.5 thing is right here, and so you can use this and then compare it to Gemini 3. All right, folks, this is the show. Thank you so much for joining. If you missed any part of the show, remember, it's sponsored by Weights and Biases, and we have all of the cool RL stuff that you want. We also launch evaluations. Please use them. Please use Weave as well, as if you're going to try the Chrome extension thing that I built right here. Please scan this and then try the Chrome extension. All you need to do is add your replicate API key and file API key. Thursday is a weekly show that keeps you up to date on everything that happens. If you're not here for the live stream, you're more than welcome to subscribe to our Substack for newsletter, our Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else you get the podcast for podcasts, and for our YouTube, the live stream just edited and cut down for an hour and a half of just dance content. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Wolfram, Nistan, Yam, and LDJ for joining as co-host. Lucas Atkins was here, CTO of RCAI, and thank you most of all who tune in every week and learn with us and provide commentary in comments and share, etc. Really, really appreciate all of you. Next week is probably going to be our final episode of the year, so please stay tuned for that. And with that, we'll see you here next week. Bye-bye, everyone. Cheers. Thank you so much.